Andre here from SWL, and I think this is the best thing ever on shortwave. It's like a return to the good old days of shortwave listening. This is VORW Radio International. I picked it up last week for the first time, 11920 kHz. You can look at the card up here if you want to find out a little bit more about the station. But briefly, it's a guy who's got his own YouTube channel, John Jurasek. He's got a couple of million followers there, and then he also has this shortwave radio station. He broadcasts on other frequencies around the world as well. This is a new frequency, started last week. It will be on air until the end of February, so you still have a chance to catch this frequency until at least the end of February. What makes this show special, it starts with news and some commentary, and interesting commentary, not just the usual stuff, so it's fun to listen to. And then he plays music, requests from listeners. So it's like it was in the good old days. You send an email, you request a song, and he plays it and mentions your name on air. He also acknowledges listeners live on air while the show is on when they are listening. He requests emails from listeners. I sent one, and my name is mentioned in this show. So that is fun. That is what it used to be like in the good old days. I remember sending letters to Radio Netherlands and to Voice of America, among others, and they acknowledged my letters on air. That's what he does here. So I really, really like it. Fun music. It's a fun show. The reception quality was very good tonight. I'm comparing reception on 4 small portable radios, just to add a bit more fun to this video. It's 4 very popular radios. I think they all did very well, all with the 10-meter long wire antenna. The one that disappointed me the most was the R9012, the Tecsun R9012. You can watch the video and see why I feel like that. I briefly play the XHDATA D-808 just as a reference initially, but then the rest of the video, it's just these 4 small portables that I compare to one another. So I hope you will enjoy the video, and I hope you can catch this show next week. It's really, really fun. 11920 kHz on Mondays, 1900 UTC.
Qatar affirmed its ongoing diplomatic efforts to renew the humanitarian pause and expressed hope for building upon the progress made to accomplish a comprehensive and sustainable agreement that would end the war, stop the bloodshed, and lead to serious negotiations and the launch of a political process that yields a comprehensive, permanent, and just peace in accordance with international resolutions and the Arab Peace Initiative, the ministry said in a statement. The Israeli ground, air, and naval forces launched attacks on the besieged enclave on Saturday, leaving many dozens dead. At least 19,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since October 7th. Expanded its military presence in the north and toward the south. Al Jazeera journalists Samir Abudakar and Wael Dartu were covering the aftermath of an Israeli bombing of a school in Khan Yunis on Friday when they were targeted by a drone strike. The cameraman, Abudakar, died after paramedics were prevented from reaching him for hours. He is at least one of 57 Palestinian journalists killed while covering the war. The Israeli army said on Saturday it raided 2 schools in Gaza City in the north of the Strip, claiming it killed 25 fighters and captured 50 more. Since the war started, the military has repeatedly legitimized attacks on civilian infrastructure, including United Nations-run schools and hospitals, in order to target Hamas fighters. However, reports from the ground show that scores of civilians have likewise been killed in most of these strikes. That had earlier led to a week-long truce. But we do see this possibility, anyway, of talks once again emerging between Israel and Hamas, with Qatar serving as a mediator. And these talks, the last time they occurred, did indeed prove fruitful. Obviously, they did not stop the conflict, but they did result in a week-long retreat from the fighting in order for aid to arrive into the Gaza Strip, as well as for prisoner exchanges. Some of the hostages held in the Gaza Strip were released in exchange for Palestinian captives. So we shall see if these talks end up being productive. It should be noted that as the war continues, Israel is beginning to see, at least diplomatically, increasing pressure emerging from the U.S., trying to suggest, anyway, that this conflict should be resolved in a matter of weeks, as opposed to any longer than that. Obviously, I'm not on the inside here. However, a picture that is being painted is that the U.S. government, obviously a major supporter of Israel, seems to be pressuring the Israeli government to start winding things down. So that's an update there, and obviously if that sort of produce results, of course you'll hear all about it in the next broadcast. Now going over to Iran. Operation and espionage of Israel. He was also collecting and providing classified information to spy service with the aim of disrupting public order. It was not immediately clear when or where the man was arrested or put on trial. Iran has previously announced the arrest of alleged agents working for foreign countries, including Israel, its regional arch foe. In December 2022, the Islamic Republic hanged 4 people who had been convicted of collaborating with Israel's intelligence service. Iran does not recognize Israel, and the two countries had engaged in a shadow war for years. Tehran accuses Israel of carrying out a wave of sabotage attacks and assassinations targeting its nuclear program. The United States and Israel accuse Iran of using drones and missiles to attack U.S. forces and Israel-linked ships in the Gulf. Iran generally carries out its executions by hanging. So this was a report that was published by Iran, and it made the international news, claiming that they executed a described Mossad agent. Again, obviously, we're never going to know the truth. Mossad sure isn't going to go ahead and say, oh, yeah, that was one of our guys. Yeah, you got him, all right. Yeah, we got caught this time. That's not going to happen, obviously. Engaging in you are not going to be treated. There are many countries that will refuse these actions, but whether or not this is Mossad Whether or not the person even exists, for all we know, no one was executed. And they just made this sound. That's fine. As if it actually agent was executed. Now finally, state of Virginia, the mother of the Virginia 6-year-old who shot her first grade teacher in January was sentenced Friday to 2 years in prison, according to the court in Newport News. Deja Taylor had pleaded guilty to a state charge of felony child neglect in August. Taylor's attorney, James Ellenson, told the media the Commonwealth had recommended a 6-month sentence. He says they do not plan to appeal the state sentence. I think it is excessive and harsh, Ellenson said about the sentence from Circuit Court Judge Christopher Papil. In addition to the 2-year sentence, Taylor is serving 21 months for 2 federal felony charges: the unlawful use of a controlled substance while possessing a firearm, and making a false statement while possessing the firearm. Ellenson says he believes the judge wanted the sentence to reflect the child neglect charge being more serious than the federal charges. Taylor was very upset when the sentence was given Friday and cried in court. Taylor's son, who is now 7, used her gun to shoot his teacher, Abigail Werner, on January 6th at Richneck Elementary School, and was aware of the student's history of random violence. The school board moved to dismiss the suit, but a judge earlier this month ruled it can move forward. Werner noted she's had 5 surgeries and many physical therapy appointments to restore movement in her hands. She also described the stress the shooting has had on her family, who have had to help care for her, as well as the financial toll it has taken in the form of medical bills. So, just an update there about the mother of the year and her wonderful child, who, might I add, while not mentioned in the article, an affidavit also stated that after shooting the teacher, the boy boasted about the shooting, saying, "I shot that expletive dead." And likewise, it was mentioned the student had a history of random violence. This was always an awful case, in my opinion. While I'm quite thankful, of course, that the teacher survived, but I think most importantly, this mother, she utterly and completely failed at being a parent. To Ray, he might be 6, 7 years old at this point. His attitude is despicable. To shoot a teacher at such a young age, at any age, let alone but at such a young age, and then be proud of what you did. She clearly lied about the ease of obtaining the weapon. It was all locked up, etc., etc. They checked. The story makes no sense. None whatsoever. The kid is easily able to get it, and look at what he does with it. If you ask me, and granted, I see it how I see it. That's all I can say. I don't think the 2-year sentence is enough. If things ever want to get better, the parents need to be held substantially responsible for this. Because I often think things are so far gone in so many ways, this is the only way they're going to get it. This is the only way that they're even going to learn. And it might only be because these selfish individuals care only about themselves. Forget their kid, forget anyone else, but I don't want to go to prison for an extended period of time. But maybe that would actually result in something good happening. That's the latest news from VORW Radio International. Now for the remainder of the broadcast. I will will be balancing out this talk and the discussion with some listener-requested music. But if you tuned into this broadcast right now, please note, I have no analytics to this transmission. That means I have no statistics, no metric, no way of knowing that there is anyone out there listening in to this broadcast right now. I have no idea that there is one single person tuned in. I have no way of calculating an audience. I could be doing this for no one at this point. And if that's the case, then why even do the show? I put a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of resources into doing this program. It would be so great to know that this broadcast is reaching anyone, anywhere. If you're listening into this transmission right now, like I said, I have no analytics for this broadcast. The only way, as a matter of fact, that I even know that this broadcast is reaching anyone, and this is all that I have, is if you, as a listener, write in, say hello, and let me know that you're out there tuned in. But that's it. It would be so great to hear from you. If you're tuned in right now, you could send in a short email. It helps this broadcast out tremendously. And it's a lot of fun to hear from listeners. Likewise, send in a short email if you're listening in. You don't have to write a lot. All you really have to say is, hi, I'm listening. Let me know perhaps, if you'd like, though, if you want to write a little bit more, how the reception is on your end. Maybe let me know how the signal is coming through. Send in a reception report. Maybe let me know whereabouts in the country or in the world that you are receiving this transmission from. And likewise, if there is a song you would like to hear played in this broadcast, I am very lenient with the music played in this transmission. Any title, any artist, any genre, any era. Pick a song, any song. All you have to do is send me the title and artist you would like to hear played. I will note it down and then try to the best of my ability to get it played for you. So here's how to write in, again with a music request, the reception report. Send in an email to the following email address. VORWINFO@gmail.com. That's We now go. The rest of the night comes in from Joanne in San Diego, California. Sweet Disposition by the Temper Trap. Going out to Elizabeth in California. Cat by Queen. Preceding that, a request for Joanne in San Diego, California. Sweet Disposition. Song by Australian indie rock band, the Temper Trap. Described by critics as an indie anthem, upon the song's release, it peaked at number 14 in Australia and the top 10 in Flanders, Ireland, and the United Kingdom. Renewed interest in the song was generated after it was included in the soundtrack for the 2009 film 500 Days of Summer, eventually reaching number 9 on the Billboard Alternative Songs chart in the United States. It should be mentioned it was originally released on September 16, 2008, but it gained that renewed interest in 2009. If you're tuned into this broadcast right now, it would be great to hear from you. Any reception reports, pieces of feedback, music requests are welcome. Feel free to write in if you're listening in to VORW VORW@gmail.com. That's VORW. We hear from John in Pennsylvania, who would like to hear Lady Madonna by the Beatles. That was White Winter Hymnal by Fleet Foxes. It is the first single from their debut 2008 self-titled album, released by European label Bella Union on July 21st, 2008. The single was issued on 7-inch vinyl as well as a digital MP3 format. White Winter Hymnal has been covered by several artists. Notably, in the year 2014, it was covered by a cappella group Pentatonic on their album That's Christmas to Me. Played before that, Lady Madonna by the Beatles, a request for Tron in Pennsylvania. We hear next from Tom in Monterey Bay, California. He would like to hear the selection Night Boat to Cairo by Madness. You could send in a reception report if you're listening in. Send me an email. VORWINFO@gmail.com. And let's open up the email and give a few quick shout-outs to some listeners tuned in. I'd like to say hello to Kelly in Southern Oregon, Brian in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, listening on 4840 kHz. Greetings to Will in Arab, Alabama. Excellent reception. James in Tucson, Arizona is checking in. I'd also like to give a shout-out to Sunshine, listening in from Australia. Says, I was impacted by Cyclone Jasper, but got through it okay. That's great news to hear. Hello to Richard in Kansas City. River in Florence, Alabama. Raphael in Anaheim, California is listening in. I'd also like to say hello to Jack in Los Angeles, California. Kieran in Ontario, Canada says listening in on the radio. Greetings to Liam in Canada. Says I'm getting ready to fall asleep once your time slot is over. Greetings to Will in Ohio, says I specifically like the news commentary in the broadcast. Thank you, Will. Greetings to Drew in Los Angeles, California. Steve in Harrison, Arkansas, listening on 4.840 megahertz. Greetings to Taylor in Washington State. Violet in Moldova. Hello to Patricia in Iowa, and a few quick shout-outs to some listeners tuned into the new broadcast on 11,920 kHz. Greetings to Ratan in West Bengal, India, listening on a Grundig Yacht Boy receiver. Chris in Marahau, New Zealand, listening in on the shortwave as well. Hello to Toru in Hamamatsu City, Japan. Kazawaki in Kawasaki City, Japan. Hidemitsu in Hiroshima City, Japan. And I would also like to say hello to Vashek in Johannesburg, South Africa. Andre in Johannesburg, South Africa, listening on an XHDATA D-808 receiver. Hello to Christian in France. Carrie in Finland. And a big hello to Dean in Durham, Connecticut. Huge thank you to everyone out there tuned into the broadcast wherever you are, however you may be listening. Dear listeners, this program airs every Monday evening on the international shortwave frequency of 11,920 kHz. That's 11.920 MHz on the 25 meter band. At the time of 19 hours UTC. Again, this program can be heard every Monday evening on the international shortwave frequency of 11,920 kHz, 11.920 MHz on the 25 meter band. At the 19 hours UTC. 9 Central Africa time, 10 p.m. East Africa time. If you would like a broadcast schedule in writing, section report, send an email to the following email address: VORWINFO@gmail.com. I would like to conclude this broadcast with a request for Danielle in New Mexico, Dancing on the Jetty by Retekess. That's all for tonight. Until next time, be safe, be healthy, and I wish you all the very best. Take care. This is VORW.